Hey there, good day to you. By the way, I'm Mr. Edgardo Ditaneo Jr. and I teach grade 9 mathematics. I hope you're doing fine today. If you are a bit anxious, I suggest that you should take or that you should yeah, I suggest that you should take a 10 seconds breathing exercise. And if you're doing fine or if you're doing well, if you think you're fine, then I guess maybe we should start now. Okay, so I guess that you're here because you want to learn about quadratic equations, right? Okay. So for today's lesson, our objectives at the end of the lesson, you are expected to illustrate quadratic equations, write quadratic equations in standard form, and also realize the importance of quadratic equations. So as you can see here, we have two pictures of two bridges, not two different bridges. And as you observe, a curved line is incorporated in their design. Okay? They have a curved line in their design. Now let's move to the next picture. The next picture shows the graph of demand and revenue. And the curve and the demand and revenue, no, the graph of the demand and revenue is also a curve. Okay? So yan. Next, we have here a rocket, no, a space rocket. So as you can see, the rocket travel a curved path. And we call that curved path as projectile motion. Now, from the three set of pictures, we can say that they have something in common, which is a curved path or a curved line. Okay, because in algebra, this curved line that we observe or that we saw, we call it parabola. Okay, and parabola is the graph of quadratic equations. Ibig sabihin, ang quadratic equations, pwede natin yan i-apply sa science, sa engineering and architecture, pwede rin sa economics at business. Okay, so for example, dito sa business, we have here the demand curve. Okay, so we use quadratic equation to identify the maximum profit of a certain product. Okay, so by identifying the maximum profit, pwede na tayo magtakda ng presyo ng produkto natin. Here naman, okay, here in these two bridges, they incorporated the parabola. So it means that their design is has something to do with quadratic equation. Okay? So bakit kaya meron tong curve na design? To support the structure of the bridge. Okay? Then we have here the rocket, which travels in a projectile motion. So we use the quadratic equation to identify the speed, no, to identify the projectile motion of an object, rather. Okay, now let's go to and quadratic. Oh, sorry. Okay. So now let's go to our lesson proper. So by the way, yung kanina, yung former, those are the importance, no? Yun ang kahalagaan ng quadratic equation sa buhay natin. Okay, so quadratic equation is an equation containing a single variable of degree 2. It means ang equation ay quadratic kapag merong exponent na 2 sa equation. The general form, again, The general form of quadratic equation is given at ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. As you can see, meron tayong exponent dito sa equation na to. Meron tayong exponent na 2. Okay? Where a, b, and c are all real numbers and a is not equal to 0. Yung A, B, and C, these are all real numbers. A is the numerical coefficient of x squared. B is the numerical coefficient of x. And C is the constant of the equation. And A must not be equal to 0. Bakit kaya bawal maging 0 si A? Because if A is equal to 0, then we will not have this term, the ax squared term. We will only have bx plus c, which is not a quadratic equation since we don't have the exponent 2. Okay? So it is important that a is not equal to 0. Okay, let's have examples. Let's have these examples. First example, 2x plus 5 equals 0. Is this a quadratic equation? Okay, this is not a quadratic equation, no? Because it doesn't contain an exponent 2. Wala tayong exponent na 2. We only have a base number na 2, pero wala tayong exponent na 2. So we cannot consider 2x plus 5 equals 0 as a quadratic equation. We cannot consider it as quadratic equation, but we can consider it as linear. Okay, when we say linear equation, the highest degree or the highest exponent in the equation is 1. Okay, next, number 2. Is 2x squared minus x minus 1 equals 0 a quadratic equation? Okay, it is a quadratic equation in standard form. Why? Because we have an exponent 2 here. Meron tayong exponent na 2, that's why we can consider that this equation is a quadratic equation. And it is also written in standard form. Since the first term contains the squared term, and we have the second term, and also we have the constant. Okay? So it follows the format of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. Okay? Where a is equal to 2 again. As I repeat, a is the numerical coefficient of the x squared term. So a is equal to positive 2. And b is equal to negative 1. Since we only have one x here. And the sign before x is minus. So it means b is equal to negative 1. And c is equal to negative 1. Okay, since our constant is 1 and the sign before the constant is negative, therefore c is equal to negative 1. Next example. The next example is 3x minus 4 equals 5x squared. Is this an example of quadratic equation? Okay, this is an example of quadratic equation since we have an exponent 2 in this equation. Okay, but is it written in standard form? Okay, it is not written in standard form since the x squared term is on the right side. We need to transfer it to the left side so we can consider that this equation is in standard form. So, paano natin isusulat to in standard form? In this case, we need to express it in its standard form to identify the values of A, B, and C. So to write this in standard form, we have to apply subtraction property of equality by subtracting 5x squared on both sides. Okay? So we have here the given equation 3x minus 4 equals 5x squared. We're going to subtract 5x squared on both sides. See here. We're going to subtract 3x minus 4 by 5x squared. and also 5x squared by 5x squared. On the left side of the equation, we have 3x minus 4 minus 5x squared. As you can observe, we don't have similar terms on this side. So we're just going to copy that. Okay? Then on the right side, no, on the right side, you can observe that they are similar. Okay? They have the same variable and they also have the same exponent. So they are similar terms. Now, if we're going to subtract 5x squared by 5x squared or 5x squared by itself, it will become 0. Okay? As you can remember, a number subtracted by itself is equal to 0. So 5x squared minus 5x squared will become 0. Now, is this equation written in standard form yet? Okay, it is not yet written in standard form since negative 5x squared is on the third term. We need to make it a first term. Okay, so to make it a first term, we have to rearrange the equation in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. So ang gagawin lang, pagpapalitin lang natin sila ng pwesto. Si negative 5x squared, ilalagay natin sa unahan. Then we have plus 3x since walang sign or positive sign si 3x. And negative 4 as our third term. Now, actually, pwede ko na i-consider to as your final answer. But if we are looking for a greater than 0, which is positive dapat yung a, we have to multiply both sides by negative 1. Okay? So negative 1 multiplied by the quantity of negative 5x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So to multiply that, we have to distribute negative 1 to each terms on the left side. Okay? So we have negative 1 multiplied by negative 5x squared equal to 5x squared. Negative 1 multiplied by 3x is equal to negative 3x. And negative 1 multiplied by negative 4 is equal to positive 4. Negative 1 times 0 is equal to 0. So therefore, the standard form of 3x minus 4 equals 5x squared is 5x squared minus 3x plus 4 equals 0, where a is equal to 5, b is equal to negative 3, and c is equal to 4. Okay. Next exam. Okay, so this is the other way or this is the other solution wherein pinasimple lang yung explanation. Okay, di na tayo dumaan sa process ng subtraction property of equality. Though wala naman talagang ganun. No? Okay, so and transfer 5x squared to the left side. So this will become negative 5x squared. Then rearrange it. So we have negative 5x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0. So tandaan class ha, kapag naglilipat kayo ng term to the other side of the equation, laging magbabago yung sign. Okay, so marami laging nagkakamali sa sign. Okay. Always be careful with the sign. And to obtain a greater than 0 or to obtain positive a, we have to multiply again both sides of the equation by negative 1. So negative 1 times negative 5x squared will become 5x squared. And negative 1 times 3x, negative 1 times negative 4, and negative 1 times 0. So we have the same answer, 5x squared minus 3x plus 4 equals 0. Okay, so this is just the other solution. Example number 4. Okay, so as you can see, it doesn't look like it is a quadratic equation, but it can be transformed into a quadratic equation. Okay. Why does it look like a quadratic? Kasi wala kayong makikitang exponent na 2. But we can transform this into quadratic by distributing 2x to 3x and 4, positive 4. Okay. So 2x times 3x, 2x times 4 equals 0. Now, copyin lang natin yan. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. 2x times 4 is equal to 8x. Then copy equal 0. So now we have the quadratic equation 6x squared plus 8x equals 0. Okay? Where a is equal to 6, b is equal to 8, and c is equal to 0. Okay. Here on the fifth example, it also doesn't look like, now it doesn't also look like a quadratic equation, but yes, according to this explanation or according to this reason, we can transform this into quadratic. But we must apply, or we must multiply the two binomials on the left side. So we have to multiply x minus 2 by x plus 7. Okay, so how to multiply two binomials? We can use FOIL method or any method that you know. Okay, so for FOIL method, we have to multiply the two first terms. So we have the two first terms, dx in x minus 2 and dx in x plus 7. X times x is equal to x squared. Then O stands for the outer terms o yung terms na nasa leftmost at rightmost. Okay, so we have x and 7. X times 7 will give us 7x. Then the inner term, or I. Okay, the inner term ito yung nasa gitna. We have negative 2 and positive x. Negative 2 times positive x is equal to negative 2x. Then we have the last terms. Yung last terms ng dalawang binomial. So those are negative 2 and positive 7. Negative 2 times positive 7 is equal to negative 14. Then just copy 4x. Okay? Then group the products. I-group natin ang x squared, 7x, negative 2x, and negative 14. Okay. So ito yung itsura kapag magkakagrupo na sila. As you can see, we have here two similar terms, 7x and 2x. X squared and 7x are dissimilar because 7x doesn't have an exponent 2. So we cannot combine them because they are dissimilar. Okay? X squared and 2x are also dissimilar for the same reason. 2x and negative 14 are also dissimilar. Why? Because 14 is a constant. It doesn't contain a variable. So we cannot combine 2x and negative 14. So the only terms that we can combine here are 7x and negative 2x. Okay, and if you are going to combine them, it will give you 5x because they have opposite sign. This one is a positive and this one is a negative. Okay, 7 minus 2 is equal to 5. Then copy the variable. So we have x squared plus 5x minus 14 equals 4x. As you can see, this is not yet in standard form since the right side of the equation is not yet equal to 0. So what we're going to do is we're going to transfer 4x to the left side. Okay, we're going to transfer 4x to the left side. And what happens to the term if we transfer it to the other side? It becomes, it changes its sign. Okay, so nagbabago ng sign kapag nilipat natin. From positive 4x, nilipat natin sa kabila, that will become negative 4x. Okay, then, okay, just like the previous step, from 7x and negative 2x, we have to combine the two like terms. So again, ang like terms lang natin dito, or similar terms, ay si 5x and 4x. Okay? 5 minus 4 is equal to 1, then copy the variable x. So the equation, or the The standard form of the equation x minus 2 times x plus 7 equals 4x is equal to x squared plus x minus 14 equals 0, where a is equal to 1. Where a is equal to 1, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to negative 14. Okay, thank you for watching and see you on the next lesson. So I hope you learned something from quadratic equation today. I hope you learn how to write quadratic equation in standard form. And I hope you realize the importance of quadratic equation in our world. Okay, God bless. And I hope you continue to be fine. See you on the next lesson. Thank you for watching.